Well, howdy there. Ever heard tell of a little old game they call Keep Straight, Don't Stray? If not, reckon I'll take a minute to enlighten you. But first, pardon my manners. I hadn't even introduced myself. Name's Jack. Jack Johnson. Folks round these parts call me Jay. You see, I'm what they call an urban legend chaser. Now, if you're scratching your head wondering what in tarnations that means, don't fret none. There ain't too many of us out there with the grit and gumption to do what we do. And only one as dashing and sly as yours truly. So, let me break it down for you. I've roamed across the wide world in search of strange tales, odd occurrences, stories that folks label as urban legends. Over my 15 years in the game, I've seen some mighty peculiar things, stuff that had most folks wetting their britches. But for me, it just makes my day brighter than a firecracker on the 4th of July. Now, of course, there have been a few escapades that were drier than a biscuit in a desert. That's Southern for boring, in case you didn't know. But I have a feeling that this adventure will be far from that. But enough about that. Let's talk about today's urban legend. Keep straight, don't stray. It's a tale as old as the hills rooted right here in Texas, my neck of the woods, and one I've been digging into for the past 3 years. This here legend got its start in a little old town called Cut and Shoot, Texas. Yeah, you heard me right. That's the name of the place, named after some preacher who claimed he couldn't shoot anyone raising a ruckus. They was not fooling around, let me tell you that. Now, this urban legend chasing ain't exactly the most lucrative gig. So, for the fair price of $29.99, I'm offering y'all a chance to join me on my latest adventure. If you're keen on coming along, just slide into my DMs. That's what the kids are saying these days. But don't dwaddle none, cause I'm only taking 2 lucky souls with me. But fair warning, folks, this here is likely to get mighty hairy. I got me only one rule around these parts, and that's you do what I say when I say. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, or it'll be your hide. With that said, I'll be seeing ya real soon. Well, I reckon it didn't take me too long before I started reeling in some interest. About 5 months ago, to be exact. Now, I had my sights set on a particular breed of folk. Them dumb rich types sitting on piles of money and bored out of their skulls. If there's one thing we learned from that whole submarine fiasco, it's that them wealthy folks ain't always playing with a full deck of cards, if you know what I mean. Now, don't go thinking I'm some kind of vulture sweeping down to pick their pockets. Nah, if that were the case, I'd be charging a whole lot more. Instead, I'm offering them a chance of a lifetime, letting them tag along on one of my urban legend hunts while having them give me enough cash to keep the lights on for a spell. So, it's a win-win situation all round. But mind you, I ain't letting just any old fat cat come along for the ride. No, sir. I take the time to sift through 'em, weed out the dim balls. That's what takes up the lion's share of my time. Well, after sifting through the haystack, I finally picked out 2 needles. One fellow was the CEO type, big shot from Silicon Valley. Seemed like he had some sort of sense, rattling around in that head of his. The other was a European gent, fancy with words, an author. Claimed he was hunting for his next big idea. With my partners in crime selected, all that was left was the paperwork. Oh, the paperwork. I had him sign enough legal mumbo jumbo to fill a library, all to cover my hide in case things went, well, south. With that out of the way, the only thing left was to chase after the urban legend. We met up at a small rundown gas station down at Cut and Shoot, Texas. Ah, welcome. Glad you two can make it. Austin, I thought I was going to get robbed about 5 times coming down here. This better be worth it. Oh, I assure you it will be.
I've read about Texas. It's even more remarkable in person. Hello there, Jack. Austin, nice to make your acquaintance.
Glad you could make it, Peter.
This whole thing has been very cloak and dagger. There were several times where I thought you had scammed us. But here we are.
Yeah, but the question is, now what? Well, now we investigate. We ain't just here for the scenery. That fella there behind the counter, he's got the lowdown on the legend we're after. Follow me and let me do all the talking. The 2 gentlemen followed my lead. Behind the counter sat a man so old you could damn near call him a standing bag of bones. He stood there, almost in a trance, smoking away at his cigarette, while keeping a keen eye on us. New in town? Why, yes, indeed we are. We were hoping to ask you about the whereabouts of the Keep Straight Don't Stray game. The man's eyes immediately lit up. He coughed mid-smoke and then put out his cig. He leaned in, and I did my best to listen as closely as I could. You ain't got no business playing that game unless you've got a death wish. I assure you we could take care of ourselves, sir. Every precaution will be taken. I give you my word. That's what I said some 40 years ago when I was a younger pup. Barely escaped with my life. That game left me with something to remember it by. The man looks down at his leg, lifting up his pants sleeve, revealing a prosthetic leg. I can hear the 2 gentlemen behind me start to converse with one another, no doubt debating if it was too late to forget this whole thing and just go back home. Me, I was just even more intrigued, but of course, in my many years of doing this, I've seen a lot worse. I'm well aware of the dangers that come with playing the game, and I'm ready to face them. If you could please point us in the direction of where we start the game, we'll be out of your hair, lickety-split. The man looks at me intensely, and eventually a look of surprise overcomes his face. He goes quiet a second. You don't look frightened at all. Either you're crazy, or you got some big stones. All right, drive down this road, make a left off Creek Bend, a right on Preacher Road, and head straight until you come across a tunnel. While you're driving through the tunnel, repeat these words. In shadows deep and moonlight way, beware the path where whispers stray. Keep straight, don't veer, for soon you'll find the darkness claims both heart and mind. With courage steeled, we're set to roam in search of secrets far from home. Now, listen up. Once you say those words, you are not to even whisper another word for the next hour. You'll know an hour has passed because you'll finally make it out of the tunnel. That will mark the halfway point of the game. After that, just keep straight for another hour, give or take, and you'll be fine. No matter what you do, do not stop for anybody. Do not talk to anybody. And do not make eye contact with anybody.
Austin steps forward and asks, "And what exactly happens if we break any of these rules?" Peter backs up Austin. "Yes, what exactly are we getting ourselves into here?" The man behind the counter smiles.
Let's hope you never have to find out.
He begins to laugh hysterically, and we take our leave of the convenience store. I could tell Peter and Austin were completely shaken. They wasn't saying a word, but they were shaking in their britches, as expected. This is why I asked to get paid before we meet up. Alrighty guys, last chance. We're about to hop into my vehicle, and once we do, there is no turning back. So if you want to turn tail and run, now's the time to do it. Austin and Peter don't say a word, and I take their silence as confirmation that they were wanting to continue. The men of their statue weren't too keen of the idea of giving up a challenge. With that, we headed towards the vehicle. In the dim light of dusk, the rugged SUV sat like a battle-scarred veteran, its once glossy paint now dulled by layers of dried mud, clinging to its frame like a badge of honor earned in the trenches. Deep scratches etched in its side, tracing the path of countless off-road excursions through unforgiving terrain. Dents and dings marred its sturdy body, evidence of collisions with rocks and fallen branches in the wild. The grille, once gleaming, now bore the marks of impacts, its metal twisted and bent like the armor of a warrior worn from countless battles. The headlights, though still functional, were clouded with dust and grime, casting a dim glow that barely pierced the darkness of the night. Despite its weathered appearance, there was an undeniable sense of strength and resilience about the vehicle. It stood tall and proud, a statement to the challenges it faced and conquered on the unforgiving roads of the wilderness. With each scar and blemish, it whispered tales of adventure and survival, a silent witness to the untamed beauty of the world beyond the asphalt. It was more than ready to participate in this game, almost screaming out the words, "Let's go." This here's Warrior. Been with me for countless years. I trust her with my life. I assure Austin and Peter. Peter laughs.
Are you sure this thing won't fall apart on us? It looks as though it's on its last leg.
I start Warrior up, and she roars to life, making Peter jump in surprise. I smirk. Oh, she's got plenty of spark left. Treat her right and she'll treat you right. With that, I start driving to the starting point of the game, referring to the old man's directions. A left off Creek's Bend, a right on Preacher Road, and then straight until we see a tunnel. It took about 30 minutes, but we finally saw the tunnel. With no signs of civilization nearby, the roads being decrepit, and the area looking abandoned, I knew we was at the right spot. We head into the tunnel and notice that we can see the light at the end. It couldn't have been no more than 30 yards till the end. I'll waste no time and begin reciting what the old man told us to. In shadows deep, in moonlight's way, beware the path where whispers stray. Keep straight, don't veer, or soon you'll find the darkness claims both heart and mind. With courage steeled, we're set to roam in search of secrets far from home. Austin and Peter repeat after me. Not a second later, everything goes pitch black. The light at the end of the tunnel was gone. I brake and turn on my high beams. From the looks of it, we were still inside the tunnel, but somehow it had stretched and was now seemingly endless. This was fascinating, to say the least. I looked behind me to see Peter and Austin sitting with their mouths hung open in disbelief. I almost want to laugh, but I'm not sure if making any type of noise is against the rules or not, so I forced that laughter down. It wasn't long before we started to see some activity, or rather, hear some activity. Whispers in the dark, followed by screams and the sounds of people crying. Some were young and some were old. I wondered to myself just how many souls has this game taken. I don't dare to slow down though. I keep heading straight. Peter had a flashlight on in the back, writing down as many details as he could within a notebook he'd brought along with him. Things were going relatively smooth until something suddenly appeared about 40 yards out in front of me. I was driving about 35 miles an hour, closing in on the object pretty fast. The plan was to keep going. Whatever the object was, it seemed small enough for Warrior to just drive right over it. Then, of course, the unexpected happens. The object stood up. It turns out, it was no object but a young girl holding what looks to be a teddy bear. I immediately slam on the brakes. Warrior comes to a screeching halt, just feet away from where the girl was stood.
Dad, is that you?
Austin suddenly jumps up and leans into the front of the car, trying to get a clear view of the girl. He makes some slightly audible gasps and groans. I immediately place my finger over my mouth, reminding him of the rules of the game. Tears welled up in his eyes. His mouth was quivering. He was going to break. I cursed in my head and asked myself why I instinctively hit the brakes when this girl was no doubt a trick brought on by the game. It was trying to get Austin to speak. I slam on the gas pedal and drive around the girl. I was now going about 60 miles an hour, trying to get as far away from her as I could. We could still hear her voice though. It was as though she was still in the car with us.
Why, Dad? Why are you leaving me? It's so dark and cold. I don't want to be here anymore.
Finally, I could see a sliver of light appear directly in front of us. It was the end of the tunnel. I sped up even more, feeling Austin was ready to crack. The girl appears in front of the vehicle again, and I swerve to avoid hitting her. Again, she appears, and I swerve. A third time she appears, but I don't swerve. I drive straight for her, knowing she was just an illusion.
Please. Please. Don't leave me.
We were now so very close. Don't crack, Austin. Stay focused. Remember the rules, Austin. I think to myself, hoping that he can somehow read my thoughts. But Austin yells, "No!" I drive right through the girl, and right as we're about to exit the tunnel, we hear a voice. Within the next second, we burst out of the tunnel. Again, I hit the brakes. Coming out of the dark, the sun was 10 times as blinding. "Oh my God," I hear Peter say. "Oh my God. He's gone! He's gone!" I don't turn around. I know exactly what Peter is yelling about. Austin was gone. I felt it the moment he uttered that word. Whatever that thing was, it took him, and it sure as hell wasn't his daughter.
Oh, what the hell was that? Where did he go? He just vanished. This isn't real. This isn't real. This can't be real. You're taking the piss, right? How are you not freaking out right now? I did not sign up for this bollocks.
Peter, this is exactly what you signed up for. You and Austin knew the dangers of what I do, so if you're done acting hysterical, I'm going to start driving again. I put Warrior in drive and continue ahead. This was not the time to be panicking. The things that had just transpired over the past few minutes even have me nervous and startled. But I've been in too many of these situations to know that once you lose it, it's over. What we had to do was focus on getting out of here, finishing the game. I had to get Peter's mind off of what just happened. We're almost there. I need you to hang in there, Peter. Once we're done here, you'll have a hell of a story to write about when you get back home.
More like I'll be traumatized for life. I really don't even think I can leave my home after this. So, do you think that girl was... Do you think it was Austin's daughter?
No, just the game playing tricks on us, trying to get him to speak. And it worked.
What a twisted game. I heard about what happened to his daughter on the news. Drowned 2 years ago in his backyard. For her to appear in the tunnel like that, to taunt him into speaking by using her. This isn't a game. I fear we've wandered into something much more sinister.
With that, we sat in silence, driving the vast, desolate land we were on. It was a road that, much like the tunnel, stretched as far as the eye could see. Every now and then there would be intersections with other roads, but as the old man stated, I kept straight. "30 minutes into the drive is when we saw him. A man, dressed in a black suit, wearing a fedora. He had his thumb out, wanting us to stop and give him a ride. The obvious move was to keep going, which we did. However, just 5 seconds later, we seen him again, standing with the same pose. The landmarks surrounding us also looked to be exactly the same. It almost seemed as though we were stuck within an endless loop.
What the bloody hell is going on here? We just passed him.
I think the game is trying to get us to stop and pick him up. But it's a trap. The old man warned us of this, told us not to stop for anyone.
Okay. So how do we get out of this loop? That old man could have been a little more detailed. Oh, he's going to hear it from me when we're through with this. I say we just keep straight and don't stray. Like the name of the game. We keep straight for approximately 5 minutes, and the man eventually disappears. At least, that's what we thought. Man, what does a guy have to do to get a ride around here? The man had somehow materialized into the front passenger seat. Peter and I were both as silent as could be, trying to comprehend what had just occurred. The other guys that drove through here, they didn't stop either. Is it the fedora? Not much for talkers, are we? That's cool. I just need a ride about 5 miles down the road. I'll be out of here in no time. Oh, can one of you help me out by giving me the time? My watch is broken. You know, I really hate it when people do that to me. Just ignore me as if I don't exist, as if I don't have any feelings. Oh, that reminds me. Y'all are coming from the tunnel, right? I'm actually coming from there myself. I think I bumped into a friend of yours. Austin, I think his name was. The man pauses, hoping that we'd break, but Peter and I kept silent. I keep my eyes glued on the road and drive even faster. That doesn't look like he's in good shape, just saying. He was crying out for a Jack and a Peter to come back for him. I'm assuming that's you two. It's not too late though, you could still save him, you know. You could actually save all the poor souls stuck in that tunnel. It's simple, really. All you have to do is ask me how. Again, he pauses, and after we don't respond, he sighs. Okay, I guess they'll just be trapped here forever. Anyways, you can let me off here. This is my stop. I place my foot on the brake and begin to slow down, but Peter grabs my shoulder. I look at my rearview mirror and directly into Peter's eyes. His eyes were wide open. Peter whispers, "Jack, don't stop." I immediately snap out of my moment of stupidity and continue to accelerate. Upon hearing the voice of Peter, the man next to me immediately turns and crawls closer to him. Hello, Peter. Were you talking to Jack or me? Would you mind repeating that? You're an author, right? Stay here with me and you'll have so many great ideas to write about. And just when things couldn't get any worse, Peter does the unthinkable. I'm not afraid of you. That's what this game is about, right? Right? I figured it out. You feed on fear. I've written far scarier stories than this. Oh, Peter. You've broken the rules.
But I'm willing to give you one last chance.
The man's voice starts to morph into that of a demonic entity.
Stare into my eyes. Prove to me you are not afraid, and I'll let you go.
Don't do it, Peter. It's a trick. I yell at Peter.
But Peter doesn't reply. I look at my rearview mirror and see Peter slowly lifting his head. I catch a glimpse of the man, making sure that I don't look him in the eyes. Or rather, look it in the eyes. Whatever it was slowly changing from man to something no words in the English language could describe. I look back at the road, knowing it was over for Peter. Within seconds, I hear the fearful screams of Peter.
What are you?
Those words and the sinister laughter of the demon, followed by the words,
You're mine.
were the last thing I heard before everything suddenly went silent. Within the next 10 minutes, I had reached the end of the game. The road no longer continued straight, but instead led to a road that only turned right. It's truly a shame what happened to Austin and Peter. But they was clearly not prepared for this sort of adventure. My heart was racing. Adrenaline was soaring through my body. I felt more alive than I had ever felt in a long time. Yet another urban legend proven to be true. Now it was time to head off to my next destination, Louisiana and the ghouls of the swamp. Once again, if you are interested in coming along, send me a DM. And if you're a good match, I'll be in contact very, very soon. Until next time. We hope you enjoyed your stay here at the Draconian Universe.